Mermail Atlanteans. This deck has been in my binder for 4 years now. It was like the last time I played it. So it took me a minute to get the main combo down, to learn the lines, get a little bit more comfortable with it. But this is how I've currently have the deck built. I definitely will go over some ways that I think it could be, I would say, optimized a little bit. So please do not take this as like the end all be all. This is, again, just my current build on it. This deck is so fun though. It is fun to be able to, again, have new cards that at least make the deck playable. I don't think that this, I mean, there's tons of profiles out there, so I don't know if I would say that this is going to be like the best way to take it. There's definitely some other lines and routes, but again, this is my current build on it, and I would say this is a really good start, or I would say like outline if you're wanting just to at least pick up the deck or want to get familiar with what like the main like the bread and butter plays would be. But I'll show you kind of what I have it tuned to do, and then like what variants I guess I would say you'd be able to make if you wanted to change anything up. But let's break it down. So starting off 3 prints, there's no way in hell that I thought that this could get more broken. I always used to play this as a going second deck back in the day. I got an invite with this the weekend that ABC's that structure deck came out, and I was always blinding second, and then if you had to go first, you were doing like a Megalo toe. I mean, the deck has like done the same shit for, I guess, like since I've played it, but just way different. And then I played it with Orcust as well. That was insane back when we had Mermaid. But again, I guess now it just does the same thing inherently. You just play a more pure variant. But I did, like, as opposed to playing like 3 divas or 2 divas or even the 1 diva, I think that Prince is now just your best starter, especially with the amount of hand traps running around. Imperm is still 100% a card, and so with this, at least you can get some value for cost, where with diva, it just completely shits on everything. So I don't play anything but him. For level 2s, I guess how can I lay this out? Go this way. For level 2s, 1 marksman. I'm sorry, Jesus Christ, 1 heavy infantry. Marksman's in the side. I would argue that you could also bump him up to 1 in the side as well, just for extra going second power. I have not squeezed in a second copy of him yet, but I am just maining the 1 as of right now. Three Shadow Squad. This card's wild. Being able to summon Prince off of his first effect whenever he's pitched, or just using him obviously as an extender, and then the second effect to be able to blanket the whole field or target, making like all of your monsters level 7, is so useful for getting Wooling Glacier off so that you're not progging his downside effect. So this card, awesome. Definitely need to get the rarity bumps eventually. 1 Armored Shark. This is just as an extension with the combo. You do have to play it to be able to search off of one of your extra deck monsters, but it is maybe more or less a free search that you could use. Its second effect seldom comes up to be able to attach from the graveyard, so I wouldn't get too focused on that, but it is just a part of our combo that we use. The first effect that we use, though, to be able to send a monster from the extra deck as an extender is pretty useful. So it's not just a body, I guess, that you search, but it does act as an extender. 3 Minstrel. This needs to be a super rare, as well as, I guess, Shark, but I do really like this card. I've been able just to steal games simply because you activate this and your opponent doesn't want to deal hand information, so that doesn't really happen too much, but I do like the fact that it does give you free value before you even have to Wooling Glacier, or free information before you Wooling Glacier. And then, I mean, if you have this in Dragoons, you're off to the races, especially just for the fact that you get to look at your opponent's hand, rip a card, and then search Prince or whatever you needed to fill in the gap to make your hand, I guess. I do play the 1 gun. I've seen builds that do not play her whatsoever. I do like the fact that, I mean, A, I use her for my main combo, and then B, adding her back I feel like is fine if, like, for whatever reason you're Megalo hits grave early, or if like you have to pitch him, being able to bring him back out and then use this effect to push for game. But Megalo is typically a game pusher, and she's a very easy resource for being able to get him back out. I don't know if I would say she's, I don't know, for my combo I use her, so I guess I'll say she's mandatory, but if you find a way to not play her, again, I see plenty of builds that don't. 2 Shrine. She is insane. If you would have told me back in the day that we would be able to search Teus, I would have been like, nah. But that card bridges the gap, and obviously being able to banish on your opponent's turn is, to draw a card is nice as well. You can trigger things like heavy infantry or dragoons in hand, just to get some pretty quick value. Some of my hand traps choices do revolve around her just because you do want to be able to draw into things that you can play. Alright, so this is where I would say my deck might be lackluster or different compared to a lot of like the ones that you see topping. I simply just played 2 pike. I don't have a third. So the deep sea with the coelacanth, oof, we've got him. This gentleman, yeah, super ancient deep sea king. You can use him as an extender if you get like drolled, being able to push out multiple pikes and then going into, I guess, plays from that point works pretty well. I don't have a third one, which I think is how you get the maximum value out of him, so I've neglected to play it. I would very much so argue that you could swap out some other cards to optimize, like if you picked up a third pike and him, that you could take out 2 cards that I'm playing and play these 2 and have a, I would say, much more, I would dare say, competitive build, but that would require just 3 pike, so easy enough. But I'm glad, or I guess I'm willing to admit that I'm probably not playing like the strongest build simply because I'm not currently playing this, but I probably will in time. 3 dragoons. This card is beautiful as always, but just the fact that it's at 3 and still not once per turn is pretty sick, because you're free to abuse this to no end, and that is why I would say this deck is able to run so well, because you can keep resolving that as much as you need to. 3 Teus. This card is still, I mean, Teus Dragoons is still Teus Dragoons. 1 Megalo. I think that this card doesn't need to be played more. You would never play 2 or 3, especially with the cost. I think I only played 2 of this back in the day. But yeah, card's still cool. 1 Woolen Glacia, the cow, ripping 2 cards out of your opponent's hand is insane, and I'll show you why. I've got some things in my extra deck geared towards, I mean, just his effects specifically. So that's it for the water lineup in terms for the monsters. This was the very first deck that I ever maxed out, but it took me probably about 2 to 3 years, but a lot of it's German as well, but I played this deck a lot back in the day. This was before trains, it was Mermails. This deck is why I love OTKing and going second deck so much. So like, trains, ancient gears, all started with this. All right, hand traps. So I do not own impulses, excuse me, or Fuwaloses. So do with that what you will. If you have those cards, obviously play them. They are phenomenal. So just bear in mind that, my gosh, the bong is hitting back. Then my hand trap lineup is, for lack of better terms, dare I say, budget. But it is what it is. I don't think that it's too bad, but here, fuck it, we'll just do that. I don't know what this is, but it's working. So 3 Valor, 3 Ash, and then 3 Charmy. Being able to draw, well, into any of these, I guess. So these 8 at the top here. Whenever Abyss Shrine's effect activates on your opponent's turn, you can typically use her in the draw phase, but you go through so much of your deck. Where's she at? Jesus. Her. So whenever you use her effect, you go through so much of your deck on your main turn 1 combo that drawing into a hand trap that you can use is pretty ideal. So again, Imperm's not horrible, but these could be impulses, but I still don't think these are horrible. I think Charmy is great though, and the fact that A, it's a water, B, you can use it with Coral, an enemy, in the extra deck to bring him out because it's less than 1500, so sometimes you can use him to go into rank 4 plays because it is level 4 water. So I'm not like to, I guess, against this lineup, I would say that Nibiru could definitely be impulses if you had them. I just currently do not own them. So, but also Veiler and Imperm plus Nibiru is a very, very powerful combo. So if you're going to play these, I guess it does make this a little bit more justified. Ash is still Ash, but I guess this is what, 6, 12, 14 for the hand trap lineup. Spells and traps, aside from the Imperms, 1 Virtue Stream is searchable curse attack. Alright, this is probably where I would say people can optimize the shit out of this because the odds of opening it, like I do play some breakage here. Virtue Stream, insane, and I kind of rechanged my extra deck a little bit because of this card as well. Abyss, Sting. This card's insane. I don't really mind opening it. It's an extender, so you can use it one way or another. I do think that it's not necessarily a brick, just because you can get cards out of your hand or use it to, I guess, get into your lines of play, but it does kind of fuck up your main combo if you open it and you have to use it early on. All right, Mizuchi, this is kind of a love-hate relationship, as it always has been, because this card sucks to open, but it can clinch games. My buddy Michael thinks it's more of a win more card, which I don't know if I disagree with, but it does negate some of the only cards that can really fuck up your entire board, like Dark Ruler No More, Super Poly, just, I don't know, just any spell card, probably more or less. The fact that you can also have it set up before your turn ends and then reuse it by using your Link 3. So you can resolve it twice on your opponent's turn, I guess ultimately is what I'm trying to say. If you set up your board properly and you open up well enough to where you either have this in hand or you have Megalo that you can somehow use, you can have this attached, and after it's sent to the graveyard, you can use Abyss Shrine or just use your Link 3's effect somehow at one point in the turn and have it reattached. And so being able to negate 2 spells after hand ripping your opponent with Toads on the board, again, it can be more of a win more card, but just the fact that even like late game, it can be very oppressive. And the fact that you can continue to recycle it now with your Link 3, it's pretty good, I would argue. Again, I do not think you need to play this. If you were to swap this out for, say, like this guy and then add or find room for the 3rd pike, I would, like, that completely justifiable. But just that's how I'm currently playing it, and I do think that I don't know. I can't say that it's mandatory by all means, but I guess that's about all I'll talk about it. Call by the Grave, just being able to hit anything need be, especially like Shifter, but that's never going to happen because it's on your, well, I guess if you're going first, you have a good chance, but obviously going second, you're fucked. 1 for 1, just getting to Prince is everything in this deck. Also just I guess like a 4th copy of him, more or less, but so I think the deck is at 43. Shit, I don't remember. 43. Sounds about right. Let's do the extra deck aside before I show the combo. So extra, Abyss Lacia, which is one of your end pieces. Being able to send any water monster to add a Mermail is pretty nice, but I mean, you're more or less using her for a pitch with heavy infantry as a pop and then an add. And then also if she gets destroyed, she's actually pretty nice just for preventing you from getting OTK'd or giving you at least another point of interaction. So don't discredit that. Her effect to gain 500 attack isn't for only water monsters, it's anything she points to. So if for whatever reason you do have to put her up in the extra monster zone, just know that she can point to anything to give the attack boost, which is kind of nice. 1 Coral Anemone, just one of your main extenders. I don't think you need to play 2 because you can add her back with Toad if you can find room. She's phenomenal, but especially for like late game plays, but I do think that you have to play at least 1. King Neptibus, this card is fucking dope. I love the fact that you just, again, can recycle your your equip spells and this is why this is why I play the Mizuchi, is just because of his effective react. I do really value that. I think it's nice. I mean, obviously you add Abyss Stay more times than not your first turn, just for the extender, but his effective continuously do that once per turn. I don't know. I think that's wild. This card, I don't mind Atlantis. I don't ever really make it, which I guess I just don't value it enough, or have enough opportunities to come into it. But this could also be Kraken, just because it's great against Tenpai. So if you have any locals, or you feel as if they're going to be running into a ton of Tenpai at events, I guess you could swap this out for one Stealth Kraken, just because it helps against that matchup a lot. All right, fun cards. I play 2 Synchros, 1 Trishula, and 1 Shanging. So with the combo, depending on what you discard out of your opponent's hand with Moon and Glacia, if they have like Orcus cards or Horus cards or Snake Eye card, anything, Wanted card, anything with a graveyard effect, just shit that you would rather banish than negate, you can go into Trishula, or you can set up like a double toad. And so just depending on what you rip out of your opponent's hand, I think that if you have the ability to make Trishula, you should 100% at least give yourself the option to. And because you can search Minstrel, and I'll show you with the combo like where this line of play comes into play, but the idea is that this is just an option that you can go into. Regardless, I typically end on Shanging because you can prog it with Shrine, Virtue Stream, and Abyss Sting. And so there's 3 points of interaction that you can use with it. 1 on your opponent's turn with Shrine if you need to, but I typically use Shrine pretty early on to draw. So Virtue Stream, if you pop it, you can use its second effect at any point, which is a double pop and then a banish and a banish with this. And then on your turn with Sting, if you bring it back, you can use it again with Neptibus, or B, if it's in your graveyard, you can banish it again to prog its effect to shuffle 3 cards back, and then triggering again your Shanging. So there's multiple cards that can prog him. I definitely was only thinking about Abyss Shrine at first, but then the more that I've played and watched the deck, I did find value in him. So that's why I do think that Shanging pretty good. For the XYZs, 2 Toad. This card, these have been my Toads. I've always had my 1 German one, but these guys have put in a lot of work over the years. For the 1 rank 3, 1 the Virtue Dragon, just because searching the Icarus attack is pretty good. Rank 4s, 1 Dweller. Unfortunately, I send this with Armored Shark more than anything, but it still is great to be able to go into. 2 Bahamut Shark, because you can make both for the double toad. And then I do play 1 XYZ Armor Fortress, that is to search the Armored Shark. 1 Abyss Gaios, and then 1 Poseidra. You do need both of these for the opening combo. I've seen a lot of lists that play 2 Gaios. I think that you can get by with 1. You can add him back again with Toad if you feel as if they're going to make him, but more times than not, you're just overlaying to go into the Poseidra. But that is the extra deck. It is pretty tight, I'm not going to lie. I do think that there's, again, you could swap some things out depending on what you want to do with it, but obviously there's a lot of synchro variants. I've seen the guy at the YCS that was playing the Goaty package, so it really comes down to what direction you want to take it in. Side. So 1 Droll. I guess we'll just lay the monsters out. So Troll, Dogwood, Marksman, and Shifter. Cross out targets, and I guess if you open this and want to use it, I mean, that's always an option as well, which I've done, but these are more or less cross out targets. You are able to search this with Pike, so this is pretty cheesy, but if you're in game 3 and you need to guarantee that if you need to set up, or if you can't set up an insane board, but you still want to put your opponent under pressure, and time is still a factor at an event, Dogwood is always a card. I'm not saying that you should rely on that, but it is just insane that you can actually search it with this deck. So I do think that it is justified to at least play the 1 copy. I do not think that you should, again, crouch it, but it does put your opponent in a pretty oppressive position. And so if you're able to set up a board and then search it, cheers. But if not, it does put you in a safe position in a lot of time-based events, or situations rather. Cross out, obviously, for the targets. I think that if you get shifted or drolled, you're pretty much fucked. So I don't know if you have another option aside from the one called by in the crossouts, but I think it's pretty good. Cosmic, I'm always playing this on my side. I think it's good going first or second. Hits back row field spells. You can go 1 for 1 if you're going second with a lot of set cards a lot of times. So it just, I don't know, I've always gotten really good value out of Cosmic. Different package that I've been tinkering with. I don't think it's, I'm missing a card. Oh, sorry. Haha, 2 Cosmic. I was like, man, seemed wrong. 2 Thrust, Talent, Duster, evenly, and D-Barrier. So, Talents package, I guess this was more or less an OCG trend, but I do like the idea of being able to play around if you get early Charmied, and you don't have too strong of a hand to be able to, like commit hard into it and give your opponent like 5 or 6 cards. That's totally justifiable. So depending on what their matchup is, you can just set D-Barrier and get a turn skip out of it. More times than not, you're fine. But again, it does kind of depend on what the matchup is, but I'm trying to get into the habit of using this more. I can't say I've got it completely dialed in, but I'm trying to get more versatile with how I side. So that would be the side deck. I'm gonna run through the main combo one time, just so people have a all you need for the main combo is to open up Prince. Everything else is pretty much fair game. Ideally, you don't open up any of the equip spells. I mean, I guess Mizuchi is fine, but you'd rather have hand traps typically if you're going second. So we'll see what we get for our first random hand. If it ain't shit, then we're just gonna do Prince and 4 random cards. Well, we opened up this Armored Shark, but I don't really think it matters. We can still make it work. All right, so obviously if your opponent has hand traps, your points of interaction are always going to be different. I'm just going to go through this as if though they don't, so that you can see what the play is. Your opponent is going to have 5 cards in hand, like such, with the 6th on the way. Let's see how this goes upside down. So, we have Prince, 4 cards. It does suck that we opened up the Armored Shark, but because you do search that, but we'll see how it goes regardless. I think we can still play through and get value, or I guess get the 5 in graveyard, because we do have the 1 for 1. Or you could pitch the Mulch Army, I guess, beforehand if you really needed to. All right. So, Prince sends Shadow Squad. Prince resolves, which is going to add Dragoons. Separate Chain Link. Shadow Squad, which is going to summon Pike. Pike summon. Effect is going to discard the Dragoons that you just added. He's going to resolve, adding your Shrine. Dragoons is going to resolve, searching a Sea Serpent, Separate Chain Link, Sea Cow. Use the effect of Shrine that you just added, attributing the Prince and herself to add Tyus. I'm sorry, not add, but yes, Jesus Christ, add. It was gonna mess me up doing this upside down at some point. Separate chain link, Prince, because it was sent to activate a water monster's effect. Target the Dragoons to special. Hey, look at that, you got 2 level 4 water monsters on the field. You also have 3 water monsters in your graveyard. We're gonna take advantage of this amazing opportunity to make a Bahamut Shark. And we're gonna detach to make the Frog. Effect of Dragoons to search a sea serpent. Seems like a good time to grab the minstrel. All right, so in most cases, if you did not open the Armored Shark, you would simply overlay XYZ Armor Fortress onto Bahamut Shark here. Sorry, Bahamut Shark. Detach the Abyss Pike and search. In this case, you already have them in your hand, so we can be a little creative. We did open up the 1-for-1, so we're going to just use that. Well, that's gonna fucking, is it gonna mess up our play here? Yeah, because then we'll have Prince out. So, no, because we can use it as a link 1 with, yeah, we'll use Coral Anemone as a level 1. Or a link 1 material. I think it'll be fine still. Okay, we're gonna make it happen. So 1-for-1. Hitch. We're gonna have to get a little creative here. This is not part of the normal combo, man. I should have just like put the Armored Shark back. Done it without, but it's all right. Just put me on the spot here. Boom, Glacia, because you have 5 engrave. Take 2. So I got 3. Teus, pitch, add Gund. Summon your Mermail Glacier over here so that when you coral an enemy, you have your spot available. Make coral an enemy. Effective coral an enemy. For Shadow Squad. We're gonna use the effect of Shadow Squad. Pitching Gun to make everything level 7. And then you're gonna use the effect of Guns. Targeting and bringing back the Teus. Alright, so I guess the Prince is level 7 too, so we could technically overlay that into Poseidon just to get rid of it as well. So we have different options here. We can save the Gaios. Normally you don't have a Prince out, so you have to make Gaios with Shadow Squad and Mermail Glacia. You normally overlay Gaios and then Poseidon. Because we 1-for-1'd and we have the Prince out, we can also use him because Poseidon just requires 3 level 7 monsters. So different, I mean, this is slightly different because we have the him out, but the line of play would still be the same either way. But the only difference is that we get to keep our Abyss Gaios and our extra deck on this one. Cool. We've gotten to Poseidon now. going to link off these two into King Neptibus. Triggering Poseidra's effect, which allows you to pitch. You target 3 level 3 fish, sea serpent, and or aqua monsters or lower. Level 3 or lower in your graveyard, you special summon them. So we can do Minstrel, Armored Shark. It doesn't really matter for the third one. Okay, this is where you get 2 different options for your lines of play. If you want, so depending on what your opponent discards with your first, like with your Moulin Glacia, so there will be 2 cards sitting in graveyard, and then they will have 3 in hand if they haven't hand trapped you. If they have cards in their graveyard that you would get value out of banishing, then you can go for Trish. So you can sink for these 3. Oh, fuck, sorry, hold on. After resolving Poseidra's effect, you get to trigger Neptibus because you pitched a water monster to activate a water monster's effect. So search the stink, my bad. It's pretty important. Okay. So, you can either A, Trish, sinking using these 3, which is fine. You're gonna rip a card, which would put your opponent on 2 in hand, and then 1 card in graveyard, and so we'll continue going from that point. So that's 1 point. So you're pretty much putting them on 3 cards in hand versus, and then I can show you what the end board would be, or we've ripped 2 out. 1's on the way. Okay, so Trish, play, that part makes sense. Get these the fuck out of here. Okay, or you can B, okay. I guess how would you want to start this off? So line B, which I guess is more common than not. Sink. Again, your Minstrel is a tuner, so you can sink into Shaying. Use the effect of Armored Shark. You're going to send your Dweller to bring back Pike. You may then overlay 2 level 3s. Into Le Virtue. Effect on summon, we'll search you're going to activate Sting to bring back Dragoons. Hey, look at that. You've got another 2 level 4 water monsters. Wait, what the fuck just happened here? That's not Dragoons. To bring back the Dragoons. There we go. Effective Bahamut. Toad number 2. Effective Dragoons. On this one, you're going to add heavy infantry. You can use the effect of the Virtue Dragon at this point to add back the Dragoons. May it link off the Bahamut and the Virtue for Jesus Christ. Wrong card. Abysslacia. All right. At this point, so again, on your opponent's turn, choose a quick effect to pitch to add a Mermail monster. So she's great with heavy infantry because heavy infantry pops a face-up card. So, and then you set Icarus as your pop 2. You have 2 toads. You may then pass, so in your opponent's draw phase, they will add, or they'll draw. Also, if you minstrel at any point, you rip a card out of your opponent's hand as well, but they get it back during the end phase. Regardless, they'll have those 4 cards. Now, in their draw phase, as long as they don't have Super Poly, you have the opportunity to activate Shrine. To banish. You may then pitch Dragoons, or whatever the hell else I guess feels right, to draw a card. Could have been a Veiler. Dragoons will trigger. Search your Megalo so that you can kill him next turn. Doesn't really matter. But then you may trigger Neptibus to either add or equip. So if you don't play Mizuchi, you can just add back the Sting. Or in my situation, I think this is sick because before your opponent really gets a chance to do anything, you now set up another negate. So to your opponent's 4 cards, you have, again, if you have any hand traps, it's only better, but so 1, well, I guess we'll say 1 negate, 2, so 2 Omni negates, which I guess you can eliminate both of those, realistically a spell, and then to that 1 last card, you would have a pop, a double pop with Virtue, Stream, and or a banish from field and graveyard with Shang-Ying. And so the amount of resources, and then this is also, you're going to add back 2 water monsters. If either of these are destroyed, you're sending and destroying, or sending and special summoning. So I don't know, the amount of, realistically, if your 1 Prince resolves, I mean, there's no reason that you shouldn't be winning that game. Obviously, this is a pretty intense turn 1 board. You do typically go through, again, both of these cards as well in the main combo. So you're going to be left with 2 cards typically. Again, you can go for the Trish line, just if, again, it feels more appropriate. But you do go through damn near the entire extra deck, but it's worth it because you win. But that is the whole, I would say, the whole kit and caboodle and the deck, or I would say like the combo at least. But again, the whole idea is just to hand rip your opponent and make sure that they don't get a chance to really win. But thank you guys, I appreciate it. Give me any feedback or let me know what you guys think. But I will catch you in the next one.